Michael Jackson was an artist who mesmerized the entire world with his music and stage performances. However, it wasn't just his music that people talked about. His mysterious life led some of his fans to believe that he had a special connection to the spiritual world. So, was Michael Jackson really a psychic? Could he have possessed certain hidden spiritual abilities? Were the claims that he communicated with spiritual beings or was involved with paranormal events true? In this video, we will explore this mysterious and mystical side of Michael Jackson together. Before we start the video, you can support us by liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Additionally, by joining our channel through the join button, you can access exclusive features. If you're ready, let's begin. Michael Jackson was not only a global music legend, but also a man with a deep spiritual side. At every stage of his life, religion and spirituality held significant meaning for him. So, what was Michael's religious belief? How did this great artist, who was raised as a Jehovah's Witness during his childhood, embark on a spiritual journey over time? In this video, we will also take a close look at Michael Jackson's world of beliefs and the claims surrounding him. Since our topic is deep and spiritual, we will begin our video by exploring Michael's belief system and the claims he encountered during this spiritual journey. First of all, I must point out that Michael Jackson's religious beliefs, of course, should not be judged by his fans. Just as we should all respect others' beliefs, we should approach Michael's personal beliefs with the same sensitivity. However, when it comes to spirituality, it becomes important to mention his religious personality in order to shed light on Michael's spiritual side. Therefore, to better understand his spirituality, we will briefly touch on his religious journey. And if we truly love Michael, we shouldn't be concerned about what his religious beliefs were. We must respect his beliefs and approach him with the same tolerance and understanding, regardless of what he believed in. Michael spread messages of love and peace to the world, and we should honor and remember him with respect for every aspect of his spirit. Additionally, I received so many requests from you regarding Michael Jackson's religious beliefs that creating a video on this topic became almost inevitable. The intense demand from fans made it clear that I needed to dive deeper into this subject. In this video, we will explore Michael's beliefs, his spiritual journey, and all these mystical connections in greater detail. Until 1987, Michael Jackson was a devout Jehovah's Witness. This was his mother's religious belief, and he embraced it from a young age. However, after becoming famous, Michael faced increasing pressure and criticism within the community. His performances were heavily criticized for not aligning with the teachings of the faith. These criticisms caused him to spiritually distance himself from this community, and by 1987, Michael was no longer a Jehovah's Witness. After leaving the Jehovah's Witness community, Michael Jackson did not announce that he had adopted another religion. Following his departure, he did not speak much about his religious beliefs, and there is no clear information that suggests he was openly affiliated with any specific religion. However, it was known that he was a spiritual person. In various interviews at different times, he spoke about his belief in God and emphasized the deep spirituality in his life. Michael frequently expressed his belief in universal love, peace, and service to humanity. He often highlighted these values in his music career. However, there is no official statement from him that indicates he adopted a specific religion. Yet, according to some of his fans and his brother Jermaine's claim, Michael embraced and accepted Islam in the latter part of his life, starting in 2005. During the difficult period when Michael Jackson was facing child molestation accusations in 2005, it is claimed that he sought spiritual support and that his interest in Islam increased during this time. Some sources suggest that he was on a spiritual quest and that his interest in Islam deepened during this process. The claim that Michael converted to Islam became more widespread, especially after his frequent visits to Bahrain post-2005. In fact, His close security personnel were said to be Muslims, and his children's caregivers were also Muslim. In 2008, claims surfaced that Michael Jackson had converted to Islam at a friend's house in London. Some media outlets reported that Michael had taken the name Mikhail upon converting to Islam, and that the ceremony took place with the participation of his Muslim friends. However, these claims were never confirmed by Michael or his official representatives. Attention was also drawn to Michael Jackson's circle of Muslim friends. Notably, music producer and close friend Cat Stevens had converted to Islam in 1977 and changed his name to Yusuf Islam. It was suggested that his conversion to Islam had an influence on Michael. Additionally, it was said that Michael spent time with his Muslim friends and received information about Islam from them.
Pop star Michael Jackson will now be known as Michael. That's right, the eccentric musician has embraced Islam as of the latest. Now, Jackson, once a devout Jehovah's Witness, converted to Islam at a friend's mansion in Los Angeles. The conversion was officiated by an imam from the local mosque along with the singer's friends. The 50-year-old singer, who rejected an alternative name Mustafa over Michael, was joined in celebrations by British singer Cat Stevens, now known as Yusuf Islam, after famously converting to Islam. The change came as Jackson prepares to give evidence on Monday in a $4.7 million lawsuit brought by Prince Abdullah Al Khalif of Bahrain for failing to honor a recording contract.
Another Muslim friend of Michael was Akon. Akon and Michael Jackson were not just friends, they were also collaborators in music. In the mid-2000s, they worked together on several projects, including Michael Jackson's song Hold My Hand. As a close friend of Michael Jackson, Akon spoke a few times about Michael's religious beliefs. While Akon never directly commented on the claims that Michael had converted to Islam, in some interviews he did speak about Michael's spiritual side. Akon mentioned that Michael was a spiritual person who placed great importance on spirituality in his life. Akon also noted that during the time he spent with Michael, he often expressed his belief in people, love, and peace. However, Akon's comments focused more on Michael's general spiritual outlook and his desire to help others, without offering any evidence or statements that he had converted to a specific religion. The clearest statement that strengthened the claims of Michael's conversion to Islam came from his brother, Jermaine. Jermaine mentioned that, in Michael's later years, he often read the Holy Quran and Islamic spiritual books, and even accepted Islam, but passed away before he could announce it.
I brought him books from a lot of mosques in Bahrain, and he read them all. He would have made that announcement. Maybe he made it in his soul, but well, he showed us by loving that region and spending a lot of time in that. We were originally Muslims, and it was this white slave masters that put the Christianity on us. And so I basically was going back to my roots, but at the same time, it felt good. It was a feeling that I can't explain, but we drove from Bahrain to Riyadh.
After Michael read the books about Islam, what did he tell you?
Well, Michael, I really feel that Michael was looking for that divine feeling, and I brought him a lot of books from Saudi, I brought him books from Bahrain, I brought him books from a lot of mosques in Bahrain, and he read them all. He would have made that announcement. Maybe he made it in his soul, but at the same time, we want to hear it, because that was my protection, and I felt that would have been his protection as well, Islam.
Let us also recall the Muslim prayer beads, known in English as prayer beads or misbaha, which were found by Michael's bedside in his final moments. These prayer beads are typically used by Muslims during remembrance rituals, zikr, to honor Allah. Thus, they are sometimes referred to as Islamic prayer beads or Muslim prayer beads. Of course, we cannot be sure what purpose the beads served in that particular setting. In short, according to Jermaine's statements, Michael had accepted Islam but was unable to announce it. There are more detailed pieces of information on this subject which could be explored in a separate video. However, we will never be completely sure about Michael's religious beliefs unless we hear it from his own mouth.
Michael, Tunisians are impatient to see you performing in our Olympic Stadium, so would you like to tell them something?
Hello to the people of Tunisia. I'm coming to see you, inshallah, the 7th of October. I cannot wait. I love you all so much. Goodbye.
Thank you, Michael.
As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when it comes to spirituality, it's important to understand that Michael Jackson was a person who believed in God, heaven, and had a tolerant attitude towards different religions. That's why I wanted to provide some information about his beliefs. However, I must also point out that as a Michael Jackson fan, his religious beliefs don't make much difference to me personally. I believe that we all should respect personal beliefs, and I think you should evaluate Michael's beliefs in the same way. Now, let's dive into the topic of spirituality. Michael Jackson and the number 7. First and foremost, the number 7 held great significance in Michael Jackson's life. Some interpret this as a spiritual design, which is one of the elements that supports speculation that he might have had psychic awareness. You can watch my video titled "Why Did Michael Jackson Love the Number 7" after this video to better understand this. In that video, you can learn about the spiritual significance of the number 7 and its connection with angels, which will help you gain deeper insight into Michael's spiritual journey. Michael Jackson's connection to the number 7 is quite striking and has sparked significant interest among his fans. This number frequently appears in both significant events in his life and his career. To briefly mention a few points, Michael Jackson was born as the 7th child. His first and last name together contain 7 letters. The number 7 has appeared at many key moments in his career. Hit songs like Black or White and Billie Jean stayed at number 1 in the US for 7 weeks. Michael signed his will on 7/7/2002, and his funeral took place on July 7, 2009, exactly 7 years after he signed his will. When you add the digits of his birth year, 1958, it gives the number 77, 19 plus 58, 77. His official date of passing, June 25, 2009, adds up to 7. 2 Pauls 5 Sukkot 7. All these details highlight how deeply symbolic the number 7 was in Michael Jackson's life and career, particularly when we notice the striking connection between his passing and funeral dates and the number 7. We might consider that Michael designed this process consciously. Fans who believe Michael Jackson is still alive argue that the connections with the number 7 in his final days were not a coincidence. According to them, Michael carefully planned his fake death, using the number 7 to strengthen this symbolism. In their eyes, these details suggest that the messages Michael left behind about life go beyond his art, pointing to a greater design. Famous basketball player Kobe Bryant once said that Michael Jackson could meditate for up to 7 hours. In various interviews, Kobe Bryant spoke about his friendship with Michael Jackson and mentioned how he drew inspiration from him. He explained that Michael maintained his mental and physical health through meditation, which helped him perform better on stage and cope with stress. It's a well-known detail from Kobe Bryant's interviews that Michael enhanced his mental strength, fed his creativity, and achieved success through meditation. Close friends like Kobe Bryant mentioned that Michael used meditation as a way to balance himself. Since meditation is closely tied to spirituality, this could indicate his spiritual side. There is no proven evidence that Michael possessed psychic abilities or that he connected with spiritual entities. However, some of his fans claim that the way his energy and stage performances deeply impacted people points to a spiritual connection. Michael's focus on messages of peace, love, and humanity in his works might suggest that he carried a universal spirituality. Songs like Heal the World and Earth Song particularly showcase his deep connection with the world and humanity. So, could Michael have had spiritual abilities that allowed him to communicate with spiritual beings? Let's pay attention to a particular line in his song, You Are Not Alone. Yes, This song was written by Robert Sylvester Kelly during a time when he was going through personal struggles. However, when Michael was given a demo of the song, he liked it so much that he co-produced and recorded it with Kelly. At that time, Michael was also experiencing some personal difficulties. So, even though Michael didn't write the lyrics himself, he loved the song because it also reflected the challenges he was facing. Therefore, when we analyze the lyrics, we must accept that they also reflect Michael's experiences. Let's take a look at these lines.
Every day I say and ask myself, how did I slip away? Something whispers in my ear and says that you are not alone, but I am here with you. Though you're far away, I am here to stay, but you're not alone, but I am here with you.
Could this be referring to a spiritual attribute? Some people go through difficult times, and during those times, spiritual beings sent by the Creator may accompany them to offer guidance and motivation. Michael was going through difficult times, so could it be that certain entities were communicating with him during that period? These lines don't just speak to an emotional process, they also suggest that Michael may have been guided by some form of spiritual presence during his tough times. The lyrics mention asking a question and receiving a whispered answer. Could this indicate that he had the gift of clairaudience? The phrase, "something whispers in my ear," in the song evokes the concept of clairaudience, one of the psychic abilities. This ability refers to hearing messages from a spiritual being that cannot be perceived through physical senses. Perhaps during moments of loneliness, Michael received this kind of spiritual support and, either consciously or unconsciously, was guided by it. Although the songwriter, R. Kelly, wrote this song during his own challenging period, we also know that Michael was grappling with his own issues at the time. Therefore, we can accept that the lyrics reflect Michael's inner struggles as well. These words may not only depict an artist's life, but also hint at a possible connection with spiritual guidance. Michael often showed interest in themes like spirituality and universal love. Some fans and commentators have speculated that he had deep emotional and spiritual ties. In You Are Not Alone, the mention of something whispering in his ear has led to thoughts that this could be linked to the spiritual and metaphysical dimensions. It is known that Michael Jackson had plans to visit the World Trade Center on the day before the September 11th, 2001 attacks, but at the last minute he overslept and didn't follow through with his plan. His brother, Jermaine Jackson, recalled this incident, stating that Michael oversleeping had saved his life. Many of his fans interpret this event as a sign that Michael was spiritually protected or guided by a higher power. Throughout his life, Michael was known to be open to spiritual possibilities and to feel a sense of spiritual safety. Therefore, some people may perceive such coincidences as divine intervention or guidance from spiritual entities. In this context, the idea that Michael was protected by the Creator and informed of the disaster through spiritual beings, thereby avoiding the attack, might resonate with those who hold spiritual beliefs. The spiritual and emotional themes frequently mentioned in his songs suggest that he had a deep inner connection. However, claiming that this event was definitively a spiritual intervention is not something that can be proven. It remains a perspective based on personal belief and interpretation. And so, we come to the end of our journey into the mysterious aspects of Michael Jackson's life and art. While we cannot say for certain whether Michael had psychic abilities, his interest in the spiritual world, the hidden messages in his songs, and the deep spiritual quest in his life continue to make us wonder. Throughout his life, he pursued a spiritual and emotional journey, always pushing the boundaries with his beliefs, curiosity, and art. Michael enchanted us not only with his music, but also with his inner world. We can see that in order to fully understand his life and works, we must look beyond the surface and delve deeper. Perhaps this journey leaves us with one message. None of us are alone, and neither was Michael. He had spiritual connections on one side, and the sources of his inspiration on the other. His mysterious journey continues to inspire and broaden our thinking. Let's remember that Michael Jackson's magic lies not only in his music, but also in the depths of his soul. We can each form our own interpretations of Michael's inner world. And so, let's not forget the most important message he left us: love, peace, and a deep connection to humanity.